that was silly, ridiculous, a waste of time. They didn't want. That's why they were so successful. That's why they got away.
I'm surprised they didn't go bigger, but they're not.
That's why they were so successful. That's why they got away.
I'm surprised they didn't go bigger, but they're not.
I'm here with Representative Louie Gohmert from the state of Texas, who is an avid follower and believer in our president. I still call him our president, Donald Trump. Thank you for being with us here today, Mr. Gohmert.
Glad to be here. A lot of good folks here.
It really is. Do you go twice a year that CPAP is held?
I go when I can and often asked to speak, so
Yeah.
I got to be there to
later,
speak.
right? Or did you
Well, in
already
the morning,
speak?
yeah.
In the morning. I
yeah,
saw you on the
yeah.
agenda. And
We've
that's
got a church at 8 to 9, and then after that I will have a chance to speak.
What are your aspirations? Are you planning on doing anything different for your next?
I want to do whatever I can to help this country continue to exist as a democratic republic.
Yes.
And we're in a lot of trouble. I know you know.
Yes, I
You've
do.
talked about it
Yes.
a great deal.
Yes.
And, and I've talked about it with my dear friend Jeff Landry a
Yeah.
good bit too.
Yes.
Just a great guy. We served for a
Yes.
while together.
Right.
And we talk. I haven't made it yet to his alligator outing, but
Yeah, that's a big one there.
yeah. Have you been?
No, no,
Yeah,
I haven't.
yeah.
I'm afraid of alligators.
So, yeah.
We just had an 18-foot
Well, that's because
snake.
you're intelligent.
That's right. And people go out on the swamp tours
Yeah.
and they touch the alligator. That's
No,
not my thing.
no.
My thing is trying, as you, to
Where
save
was
this
that
country.
snake found?
18-footer in
Where
Baton
was it?
Rouge. That was in
In
Baton
Baton
Rouge,
Rouge.
yeah. And I'm not too far. I'm about 2 miles from
That's
that mall.
not a native snake.
No, it's a python. It was an 18-foot python. They were keeping it in an
Yeah.
aquarium there in Baton Rouge at the Mall of Louisiana, the largest mall
Yeah.
in the state.
Yeah.
But do you think our great president, I still call him our great president, because make America
He
great again,
was
America
and-
first.
Yes, that's right.
And people,
Well, and it's like people talk about, if you're on a plane, they tell you, put your own mask on first so
That's
you
right.
don't pass out trying to help other people.
that's right.
And people that want a great environment, like you and I do,
That's right.
if your economy is not strong and vibrant, you don't have the wherewithal to help the environment. You don't.
You don't.
And so, like in India, they are struggling. China, they're trying to keep people working. And so,
Do you
look
know
at what they
just
do
made
to
you
the
can have
environment.
3 babies now? It
In
was
China.
a limit of 2 about 2
Well,
weeks ago. They announced it.
they'd hurt themselves. Yeah,
With the Wuhan virus,
Yep.
I think that more
They hurt
people were
everybody
killed.
with that,
That's right,
yeah.
and I agree with what conservative people are saying. They should pay for this, but this current president, they
Well,
won't pay anything.
we'll continue to debate and hear scientists talk about where it originated. It was around Wuhan.
That's right.
But one thing we know for sure, when the Chinese knew that people had the
And it jumped
COVID-19, they knew about the COVID virus, they banned any flights from going from there to anywhere else in China, but they allowed them to go internationally.
That's right. They're in my
Now
book.
that was an act of war.
That's
It was
right.
an act of terrorism. It was an act that led to, hundreds of thousands of deaths
That's right.
in America. They knew what they were doing when they sent those planes forward internationally and didn't let them travel within the
Right.
country. So
Intra-China,
that
right.
much we know, regardless of where it originated.
Right.
They-
But the first index patient was there in
Yes,
Wuhan.
right.
So, and as you said, thank goodness Donald Trump, that's in my COVID book that
Yeah.
I just gave you. He
And you
stopped
know how
that.
much he was belittled
That's right.
and accused of all kinds
Nancy
of
Pelosi,
hatred.
come on over to San Francisco and
Yeah,
help people
we're
to China.
open. We're
yeah.
And she was encouraging people to bring the Wuhan virus
That's right.
to San Francisco and belittling the president, calling him all kinds of names
Right.
and hateful. And all he was trying to do was save American lives. And thank goodness
And
he did.
He did.
He
and
did
people
save
don't give
America.
him credit. In this book that I wrote,
And I know I don't blame Biden for all the things he's saying. He doesn't know what he's saying. He
Really,
reads
something wrong with there.
whatever
That's right.
is put in his teleprompter.
takes it right out of his pocket.
Whatever notes he's
Yes.
given to read, that's what he tries to say best he can. But whoever is typing stuff up for him to say knows good and well he's lying.
That's right. And I believe that there's a former president behind a lot of what our current
Yeah.
president does.
Well, you know, Valerie Jarrett was given
Susan
credit
Rice.
for a lot of decisions he made.
That's right.
So I don't know. I
And
don't know
Susan
if I
Rice
believe
off his
he-
staff
yeah.
now. He took the same people from Obama's staff
Yeah,
and put them,
that's
Ron
right.
Klein.
Yeah.
And Ron Klein once said every decision that Joe Biden had made had been, and so
Yeah.
did
No,
Robert
that's true.
Gates said that,
Yeah.
that all his foreign policy, look what he's done
For
us.
40 years,
That's
he's
right.
been wrong on every decision, every foreign policy issue.
And look what
Yeah.
he did with Keystone, and then you let Russia have a pipeline to Germany, making
shut down
billions
our
of
own.
dollars. America is the
Yeah.
greatest country in this world.
Russia has no better helper than Joe Biden.
That's right.
China has no better helper than Joe Biden. And we really do need somebody in the administration that cares as much about America as they do about China and
I don't
Russia.
get it. But we've sold out, I think, Representative Gohmert, to
Yeah.
them a long time
Oh,
ago.
and China's coming along right behind these bad decisions this administration is making and playing up to countries all over the world. See, you can't trust America.
Right.
You know, so
And they
why
got
don't
money
you
to
trust?
spend.
And
That's right. What
well,
do
they
you
have a
think
lot of
about-
our money to
That's
spend.
right, that we're from us. What do you think about the Bagram Air Force Base when they just left it over in Afghanistan, and the Taliban were there the next day?
It's what
Another bad
I've been
decision.
saying
It's
was
not-
going to happen. Under the Bush administration, I think the world of Condoleezza Rice.
Oh, she
But
was
she
wonderful.
got persuaded by an Afghan named Khalilzad to force a constitution onto Afghanistan where the president appoints the governors, he appoints the mayors, he appoints the police chiefs, he even has to approve the high-level teachers. It's a formula for corruption.
Right.
Afghanistan is a perfect country for a federalist-style constitution where the power is in the different provinces or states, as we call them. And so friends who were our allies, who actually people don't remember, between October of 2001 and the end of February 2002, we didn't lose any Americans. We embedded Americans in with what was called the Northern Alliance. The commanding general was a guy named, Dustin, General Dustin. And anyway, we provided air support, we provided weapons, and had some people embedded. By the end of February, there was no organized Taliban within Afghanistan. It had been totally routed without the loss of one American life.
Wow.
And then the Bush administration gets talked into asking the question, what kind of government should we give them? No.
We give them. That's
Yeah.
the wrong right there.
And we gave them this constitution that was top down and made for corruption. And so we became occupiers.
Right.
We were their heroes in the spring of 2002. But over the next 18, 19 years, they kind of got tired of us being occupiers.
Right.
So we needed to go out. But our friends that were leaders in the Northern Alliance, people like Massoud and others, they were saying, look, if you would just, U.S. would just help us get one amendment to the Constitution you forced on us, then we can take care of things. We know you can't stay. They've been telling me this for a decade. We know you can't stay forever.
Right.
It's not good for you. It's not good
Right.
for us. But get us that amendment. And the amendment would simply allow each province or state to elect their own governors, elect their own mayors.
As we do in America.
Yes, pick their own police chiefs.
Yeah.
Then, as some of them had said, our allies, look, when you leave, the Taliban's probably going to take over something. But if the control is in each of the states, then whatever they take over, the states, the provinces can band together and whip the Taliban again. But if you leave it like it is, then the Taliban will take over the whole country and they will kill all of us that helped you And then they will hit you again, and when they do, there will be nobody left in Afghanistan
so we
to ever
deserted
help
those
you.
people again.
All we needed to do is help them with their constitution, where they could elect governors, mayors, pick their own police
A
chief.
fair election.
Yeah, and they're right. And now we're seeing play out what I've been saying for all this time, that we just need to help them amend
And now
their
we're
constitution. And now we're gone, and the Taliban's taking over, and the first thing they want to do is kill everybody that helped us.
And that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people, but it's also everybody we would need to help us keep the Taliban in check.
Well, it seems like we just deserted them from what you're saying, Representative Gohmert.
Well,
the people
that's
that
kind
helped
of
us.
that's kind of what the Biden administration. That's kind
Yeah,
of their
Trump would not have
mode
left
of
like this.
operation.
Right.
But actually, Mike Pompeo is a great guy. He was a great Secretary of State, but he listened to the same Khalid that the Obama administration listened to, that the Bush administration listened to, that in the 90s became friends with the Taliban when he was negotiating for pipelines in Afghanistan for big oil companies. So that should not have been the guy that headed
Right.
up our strategy.
If I could ask you one other question, and I appreciate your time so much, but if I could ask you about what's going on with the border, Laredo,
Yeah.
what I've seen with last month, 180,000 people coming
Yeah,
across the
and
border.
it's not slowing down. So we have got to protect the border. You
He's
can't
not
have
going
a
to do it, it doesn't seem
Biden
like.
is
No, he's
not.
not going to do it.
or whoever's calling the shots for
Right.
Biden is not.
Right.
Because there are socialists, Marxists at the bottom of this, and that's
Yeah.
what the leaders of BLM are. They've made that clear.
That's right.
They want to make this a Marxist country.
And so many more.
To do that, you've got to get rid of the history, get rid of statues.
That's right.
You know, we've got
I just talked to somebody about statues today. I don't
Yeah.
care they took a statue down in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
I care let's get everything straight for the people of America.
That's right. But you have to know your history.
That's right.
So you don't repeat the
Repeat
same
it. You know what I said,
mistakes.
Representative Gohmert? I said I would have put a sign up to Robert E. Lee and say you lost
Yeah.
because you weren't doing the right thing. So
But-
people know
but
that he didn't win.
That's what Marxism does. You
That's right.
eliminate all
They
the
did it
history.
in China.
You rewrite it, just
Venezuela.
as Orwell talked
Mhm.
about.
Yes.
In Venezuela, the Soviet
That's right.
Union. You know, without Trotsky, there would never have been a successful Russian Revolution. But Stalin hated him, so he got completely written out of all history books.
Right,
in
and that's
the
what
Soviet
people
Union.
do. I believe,
Yeah.
like with CRT, another
Yeah.
vital issue. I'm doing a series on CRT with Kendall Quayles. He ran for the United States rep, black
Yeah,
guy
right,
out of Minnesota. He's
right,
coming down to
yeah.
Baton Rouge to the studio
Yeah.
because he started an organization named Taking Charge
Right.
about trying to get CRT out of our schools. So we're
Well,
trying
that's
to work on
important.
that together. Very
We
important.
got to get back involved in
Because
education.
no one should be taught to hate another group of people.
No.
That's what Martin
And-
Luther King
or
preached.
to
not
judge
that.
them by the color of their
That's
skin.
again. What are we
So,
doing here?
Yeah.
It's the
So,
same thing.
Anyway,
Okay,
such a
because I
pleasure
could talk forever
to
to you.
I could to you, Dianne.
Night- All I can say is wow, after what our President Donald Trump just did. And the words of wisdom, it's so nice to see someone who is talking positive about what we can become again and what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are bringing this country down. You all are from Texas. Tanya Block?
Yes.
And
Monique Worthy.
Monique Worthy. Nice to meet you. I wanted to speak with some conservative black women like myself for my television show, Dianne Andrews in Black and White. Tell me how long you all have been conservative. Most blacks start off as Democrats. I did.
I did as well.
Okay. Did you also?
Yes, yes.
And you all are younger than I am.
I'm 32.
Okay. And
I'm
you-
36.
Okay.
And we're cousins, actually.
Oh, okay. Great,
First cousin.
Tanya. Okay. Tell me what changed your mind and how long you have been a conservative, Tanya.
Well, for me, Obama's first term, I actually voted for him. His second term, I did not.
Tell me why.
I did not vote for him because I noticed the liberal agenda that he was pushing. And I also noticed during his first time things that he stated that he would do was actually not happening. It was just more so for a vote. And so with me having two boys at the time, I only had one at that time, I noticed that there was a lot going on and a lot being legislated that really I felt like would not benefit my life as a mom and my son's life as well.
Tell me your story to become a conservative.
Oh, well, mine is very long and very lengthy, but the short version is I went in jail a Democrat and I came out a Republican.
That's very interesting. Why did you come out a Republican? How long were you in jail?
Well, I was only in there for a couple of months, but I was in there long enough to be set down and listen to some radio, some talk radio. So
Did you hear Rush Limbaugh? He was so great. People think he was a bigot. I don't know if you know, but his producer for 30 years was a black guy. That's
Yep.
right, yeah.
Rush Limbaugh, Mark Levin, Sean Hannity, all of them. I was listening to them all.
I have been a conservative for for 10 years. I did not vote for Barack Obama. I just saw something in him, just looking at what he was saying, and he never did anything. I looked at his record.
Right.
You were young then. I looked at his record, and if you looked at all the bills, he would just put pass, pass, pass. He was from the south side of Chicago, which is the biggest war zone in this country. I do shows about black, white, blue lives matter, because all lives matter. And if you look at, they want to say the police force is our enemy. The police force we have bad ones that need to be cleaned out, like Derek Chauvin. But if you really look at it, we lose almost 7,000 to 8,000 black boys a year, and a little girl sitting on the stoop, 1-year-old getting killed by black on black crime.
Yeah.
But nobody's ever talking about that. I'm going to ask you this question. I do shows on police killings. I interview mothers whose sons were killed by police and mothers whose sons were killed by other blacks. As I said, last year, and I've been doing this show 5.5 years, that the total killed by police, 1,100 to last year 1,008. Now, there are 330 million legal people, as Donald Trump just talked about, and probably another 30 million that are illegal in this country, probably. So we're talking about something like 370 million people. Police have 15 million encounters with criminals a year. They killed 1,000 to 1,100. I think they deserve a badge, and I've always been for our military and for our police. More crime is done, sadly, in the black community. 55% of all crime to 65 is done in the black community. Domestic violence, 70% is done in the black community. So we have a problem within our own communities.
Our own worst enemy.
We are.
Yes, it's not the police. I seen a video last night, actually, on Instagram, where this guy was going live with his friend. This young guy was going live with his friend, and he was shot on live. Like he was
shot on the video live.
And he was shot. They shot at him, and he died on camera. That young man would be alive today if there were more police officers on the street to see things like that happening as it was happening.
Let me tell you other statistics too. Half of the police force in this country is blacks. Police chiefs are black and women.
Correct.
Look at Seattle. That liberal mayor got rid of the black police chief, the woman.
No, she quit.
Let me tell you why. She got rid of her. She took her salary down to half,
Yeah, and she
50%. Who can live off 50? She was firing her. She just didn't say I'm firing you. So I take your money. I mean, you're not talking 5%. We're talking 50. That's half of what your livelihood is. She couldn't afford to stay there. She was letting her know I don't want you here, because she wanted to protect the community and protect that police precinct. When you look at Black Lives Matter, the organization, because Black Lives Matter, there is prejudice.
I don't know nobody that doesn't think Black lives don't matter.
I don't either.
You can ask anybody in here. You ask
That's
them if
right.
Black lives matter. Yes, Black lives matter.
As you say, have you ever been treated bad by people in this organization, the Republican Party? I haven't. And you know, as you said earlier,
I've been given more hugs by white people than black people.
And I've actually, if they talk about oppression, but I've actually encountered oppression from black people.
I have also owned a business, and the black employees were worse than the white.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and I don't think it's about slavery. I just think it's something within us, a green-eyed devil, of that black people, especially black women, are so jealous of other black women instead of giving them praise. I don't understand that.
I think it's a mixture of that as well as not knowing their history. A lot of times, like I've had to do a report as well, and I also discussed it in a school board meeting. It's a lot of people that don't know.
What do you do?
I'm a physician liaison at a surgery center. But what I also like to share with black people is one of our first slave owners was black.
That's what I'm from Nigeria. Who sold us was
Yes.
yeah.
And I thought it was so awesome and like uplifting when Glenn Beck brought it up yesterday, because I actually thought of that too, and I was
Right.
like, if people knew that,
Right.
like, why does it take someone else to tell us our own history?
That's right. Because we don't investigate our own history.
Right.
If you go take a black history course, a lot of that you don't see. My father's family is from Norway. My mother's family is from Nigeria. So I was doing history on all of that, and it showed that in Nigeria, some of the biggest businesses by the Nigerians was slave trade. That was a business that we had to get over here about other blacks taking us down to the port in some of the countries.
You're going to tell me that a bunch of white folks came to where a bunch of black folks was
right.
and just plucked them
Right,
out of.
right.
No, you're not going to tell me that a bunch of black folks allowed some white folks to come steal their family.
I mean,
Right.
and
They
then-
did. That we were sold by black people
Right.
to other black people, to the white people. that
Right,
came
but
over.
we were sold by other
black
people.
people in
Yeah.
Africa.
Just
That's
come
right.
take us.
That's right.
We were given
And
away.
people, common sense ought to come into your mind sometimes.
Right.
Me too.
Honestly, I'm grateful.
Let me tell you, I'd rather be here than
I don't
Africa.
think I would be able to survive in Africa.
That's right.
Okay.
Well,
I'm
they've had
sorry.
cities like they do, but they have not. To give Africa credit, I've been to Africa twice. In Africa, a lot of the countries were owned by the European
And
countries.
those are the ones that are doing.
Now, but most of them have not been out of under that for over 70 years. So they're coming at a deficit. Where do you think the diamonds and the diamonds and all the minerals? Africa has more rare earth minerals and more minerals than any country in the world. So people have taken over Africa. It is at a deficit, but that's a lot of the reason, because a lot of the countries there were not free until 70 years ago. So they're really working at a deficit.
Yeah.
But most blacks, also the Republican Party was started because of slavery. It was started to end, but Abraham Lincoln was a big part of that.
The Republican Party of Texas was started by a black man.
Really?
Last name Gaines, which was my daddy's last name.
Do you know if you track that history down? Were you related?
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But also, we always talk about the Civil Rights Act, that Johnson signed. Before that, that gave us a lot of rights. But people don't know Eisenhower.
Yeah.
Was a Republican. He was a general. He was a Republican president. I know the first Civil Rights Act he did was 1957. And I'm telling you, recently I learned this for my show. And he did two under his term. A Civil Rights Act of 1960. I'd never heard of those before. And the one that Johnson signed was just adding on to what Eisenhower had done.
And another thing with that was a lot of people like to shame or think they're shaming Barry Goldwater for his opposition to civil rights legislation. But what they don't understand is his opposition to civil rights legislation at that time wasn't about race. It was about the government attempting to force businesses to do something they didn't want to do. That was a private property issue. You as a government and we as conservatives, Republicans, should be taking Goldwater's stand on that. And I agree with him on that. You cannot force a business. If I'm a white business owner and I don't want to do business with a black person, that should be my right as a business owner, as a private.
Like, remember the gay cake owner? The cake owner. The gay guy wanted one for his wedding, and he wouldn't do it. I think he won at the Supreme Court.
Something like that bolsters what we call capitalism. Because if I'm a black person, I'm going here and this person don't want to bake my cake.
Right.
Well, let me start up my own cake business.
Right, or let me go to another one.
Support the
Because we
next
have
cake
that,
person.
but they're trying to take us now to socialism. You've got to be Ray Charles not to see this.
Where the government owns the cake shop.
That's right. And Russia, of course, was communist. Now they're not. Everybody has come away from communism. India was socialist. Now they're Democrat.
Yeah.
Why are we going the wrong way? Venezuela, 25 years ago, was the 5th richest country in this country.
And look at them now.
And they're the number 1 or number 2 in oil. In oil reserves, they have more oil than any place in the world. And look at them now. They're coming over across your border right now because they are eating out of trash cans. Have you ever seen by D'Souza? There's a documentary, Trump Card.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I haven't seen it.
And his wife is from D'Souza. D'Souza is from here. He's from Houston. Well, Houston, yeah. I think I'm in Houston. But
She's from Venezuela.
she's from Venezuela. That's right. And he lives in
Debbie.
Houston, is what I'm.
Debbie
Yeah.
D'Souza.
She's on there, and she goes back with her husband to Venezuela, and she talks about how it was. Even if you have, let's say you go on vacation and you have a condo, you may come back and you cannot even get in your own properties. They put people in the properties where you own. At the end of the day, socialism, communism,
Right.
they take your property. Everything is about the government. Nothing is about self. And America is about self. So black people, how do we get more people, black people especially, to understand this?
Well, you have to give it to them raw and uncut. You can't go sugarcoating it to them.
Right.
You see, all they know is Democrats right now. That's all they
That's
know.
right.
So I think Republicans got to.
You know what your governor here said when he signed Johnson? He said, no, let me give you this point. No. Your governor at the time who signed, he became president, Johnson. He was a senator from here. Yeah, LBJ. He said, I'm going, oh, please, no. He said, when I sign this Civil Rights Act, niggers are going to vote for me for the next 200 years. And then they put everything around it. Hey, Harriet Tubman, she may get talked about all the time, but hey, whose houses were risking their lives to make sure that they got through the Underground Railroad? We didn't own any houses along the Underground Railroad. You never hear anybody talk about those white people's history and what they sacrificed. History should be history.
Hung up and down roads
That's right.
for helping black people.
And those who were also slaves.
That's
Yeah.
right. And if you look at it, the Ku Klux Klan was started by Confederate soldiers in Pulaski, Tennessee. I've done Klan shows. And they said they started putting the hoods on and going around. They were mad because they lost. And in 1875 was the first Civil Rights Act after the Civil War, and that was signed by Ulysses Grant, who is a what? Republican. The 15th Amendment was signed under a Republican. So if you really look at it, Republicans have always been for us, but Democrats they know how to word things and to change. When they give all these, what do you think about all these welfare programs? All these programs just give. What do you think?
Well, look at what it's doing to us.
That's right.
It's taking away our spirit to work, our spirit to do for ourselves, our spirit to be independent. That's what they're doing, and that's what they need us to be.
But you know, I hear a lot of people, black and white, say, I want to be taken care of by the government. What do you think of that?
I think that's sad. I think it's conditioning.
Right.
They condition them to be that way, so therefore they're gonna act that way. Like they're basically putting a key in their back and just whining it each time, and so they do that because they're taught to think
Like
that
the
way.
stimulus check now that they're
Yeah.
continuing until September. Now, Louisiana governor, I have to say this, he's a Democrat, but he was the first one to stop it this month, before September. But all the Republican
Some
governors had
Democrats
stopped
do
it.
got a little bit of smart to them.
Right, and he's a Catholic, so he's not for abortion. And that's what I'd like to say. If people, black women, looked at policy, do you believe in infanticide, killing a baby until its 9th month, the last day? Kamala Harris does. So does Joe Biden.
She ain't got no kids.
That's right. She never had any, but she obviously does not like our kids. Well, I don't have any myself, but she doesn't like kids of anybody's.
Well, she also think going to the border, visit the border, is just a gesture as well. So
Well, that's all she did.
Yeah.
I stop in El Paso, which is not the real border where the problem is, for an hour and park my plane, and I go do a photo op session with three or four little cute Hispanic kids that they've dressed up to look nice as kids are dying and being raped. This is a non-humanitarian effort that they are doing, and it is planned because Donald Trump had the Remain in Mexico policy, and they took it down the first day.